things are not at all looking good right now with the coronavirus. Already 245,000 people worldwide have been infected with the disease, and out of those, 10,000 people have died. Now, just in the United States alone, you can see that over 14,000 people have died, and it's not doing as badly as Italy right now, but it's getting worse and worse. In fact, we're catching up to Italy actually as we speak right now. So if we look at how the coronavirus has been doing in the United States, we can see that just at the start of March, less than 100 people had it. But since then, the disease has grown 100-fold, and now over 13,000 people worldwide have been infected. Yeah, 14,000 now. So yeah, if you look at the logarithmic growth of this virus, or the logarithmic graph of the virus's growth, it looks like a roughly linear graph right here. That's because the virus very well represents exponential growth, and that means that the rate at which the virus infects people increases over time, meaning that it infects more and more people very quickly. And what I decided to do was I decided to input all of these different data points into a graphing calculator and see how much more the virus would be expected to grow based on that. And after I did that, the conclusions were very alarming. Like, this is not at all good at all. So yeah, here we go now. So the purple points are how Italy has been doing throughout the past few days, past few weeks, and the green dots are how the United States has been doing. Obviously, Italy's doing worse than the United States, so they're gonna be higher up on the chart. But the U.S. is actually catching up pretty quickly, which is not at all a good thing because Italy is known for not handling it at all well, and I don't think the U.S. has been handling the disease at all well either. But what's interesting is that these data points, they fit into an exponential function very well, as you can see by this purple line right here, how closely it matches up with all the different data points right here. And what's very worrying to me is how by the end of March itself, which means x equals 30, because the x-axis represents number of days after February 29th. So that would be x is 30, x is 31. So just by March 28th, for example, based on the rate of growth that has currently been happening, if the exponential growth keeps up, we're going to have over 120,000 cases just by the end of the month in the United States. Hopefully, the growth slows down as we do a better job of stopping the spread, but I don't know. People are not at all doing a good job of stopping the spread, and it's just spreading more and more, and now over 14,000 people in the country have it, so I don't know. Another thing I thought was interesting was how the US is doing compared to Italy with the disease. Now, one thing about this virus that I noticed with the US and Italy is that for a while the US was roughly 10 days behind Italy. So the amount of the virus that was there in the US on March 11th was similar to what Italy had on March 1st. So let's take a look at this because the purple dots are Italy, green dots are US. Let's take a look. So, whenever it was March 6th for Italy, they had 4,000 cases. And March 16th for the US, they also had a really similar amount. Both had 4,600, sorry, not 4,000. 4,600. 4,636 on March 6th for Italy, and 4,663 for the US on March 16th. So, for a while, the US was roughly 10 days behind Italy. Like, March 1st for Italy, 1701. March 11th for the US, 1301. So there's a bit of a difference, but obviously it's not going to be exactly the same. But if you keep on going, March 4th, 5th, 3,000 to 4,000, 14, 15, starts at 3,000, then goes to around 4,000 ish, yeah. Yeah, 3,680, yeah. It resembled pretty well how Italy was doing. But in the last couple of days itself, we've done worse and worse. We're catching up to Italy. Now we're only around 7 days behind. Like, today is March 19th, right? And right now we have 14,000 cases around. And the official number reported on the World Meter website is 13,789. And if you look at how this compares to Italy, just 8 days ago, we only had 12,000 in Italy, which means that the US is only around 7 days behind Italy now, which means we're catching up to Italy. That is not at all a good sign. You should all be very worried. Like, I don't mean to be fear mongering, but this is not at all looking good. And like this exponential growth really worries me, because so far up until now, the data points for the United States' growth is resembled this exponential function really well. Like as you can see here, these different points fit on this graph very well. And if you go onto the World Meter website, you can see that for any country, the especially the United States, the amount of growth, if you look at the exponential, if you look at the linear and the logarithmic graph, the linear one looks a lot like an exponential function, and the logarithmic graph represents roughly a linear function. And that's how fast this virus is spreading. It's only going to spread faster and faster and faster. That really worries me because that means that just by the middle, probably early to middle of April, we're going to have like 1 million cases. Like, if you look here, 38, X is 38, that means April 8th, because that's, or April 7th, sorry, that's 38 days after March 1st, or February 29th, sorry. That's already 1,800,000 cases, according to the graph. Meaning that if this exponential growth keeps up and doesn't stop, if we don't do anything to stop it, we're going to have almost 2 million cases by early April. And that really worries me. I hope that the US steps in and does something, does a better job of handling this virus, because right now we're not at all doing a good job with it. I hope that from here on out, the United States can actually make it, what the US needs to do is they need to make it clear to the people how bad the situation is. They need to, because people aren't taking it seriously. That's the problem. Like in China, they were doing badly, but they were able to stop the spread because the people realized how bad it was and they listened to the warnings and they actually were able to self-quarantine. But in the US, a lot of people aren't taking it seriously. Like in Florida, there's a lot of people still at the beaches. But in the US, we need to do something because China was able to mostly stop it. South Korea, really good job stopping the spread. Italy, it was known for how bad they were dealing with it, but the U.S. is following right in its footsteps, and it's doing even worse, in fact. And it can be shown in this data, like the exponential growth here. And what's really worrying is that since yesterday and today, now it's March 19th, we're doing even worse than what the exponential model predicted. Like here, if you look at D is 19, based on this model, it was predicted that we'd have 11,000 cases, but we have already 14,000 cases. Now, if we look at what this model predicts for the end of March, it's 275,000 cases. I hope it doesn't end up being this bad. I hope we actually stop the spread, but we're not. I don't know if that's going to happen because a lot of people are getting this disease, and the US has a lot of people, so the carrying capacity is really high, meaning that there's a lot more potential for the virus to spread, especially in New York. New York is doing horribly with the disease. Already 5,000 people have been infected, and that's because the area is very dense in New York City, so there wasn't much to be, they weren't able to do much about the spread of the virus, so it spread to a lot of people, but I think they're starting to manage it, but it might be too late now. It's going to keep on spreading, but this is very alarming. People should be worried. People need to do whatever they can to stop the spread. I don't think that many people realize how bad it is. Yes, if you're young, it probably won't kill you, but it can seriously screw up your immune system, and it has many disastrous effects. And even if you're not worried about yourself, like I'm pretty young, so I'm not worried about it harming me personally, but I'm worried about spreading it to other people that are healthy as less healthy than me. Like elder people are a lot more prone to getting killed by the disease. Like I'm only 17, I don't have to worry at all about being killed. It's really unlikely. It's possible, but it's not likely. But people like above the age of 60, they are much more prone to death from this disease than someone like me under age of 20. But I can still spread it to them, and that's why I don't want to get the disease. Because if I get it, then it wouldn't be that hard for me to spread it to other people. That's what makes this disease so dangerous, so deadly, so lethal, that it can spread really quickly. And that's how these flu viruses work. That's why they're so effective. They spread really quickly from person to person. And that's what's happening right now with this coronavirus. It's spreading quickly, really quickly from person to person. That's why you have this exponential growth happening right now. That actually follows this graph really well, because that's how well this virus spreads. And the death rate is around 4% overall for people under age. At around my age group, the death rate's like 0.5% or less. So it's not that bad. But it's not likely to kill you. But it's still not something you want to get at all. It can have disastrous health consequences, and there's a reason why people are freaking out so much about it. Like 4% death rate doesn't sound that bad, but if someone told you, "Oh, you have a 4% chance of dying right now," you would be worried. I would hope you would be really worried, because that's still not good at all. Anyway, I just made this video because I wanted to express how bad the situation's getting, how I want to emphasize how much it's important that you limit human interaction. You don't gather in big groups. You limit the amount that you need to go into public. If you do all these things, I think that'll help to stop the spread. But I think the problem is that people aren't taking the warning seriously. They don't think it's a big deal. They think, oh, I'm young, it's not going to kill me, who cares? But the problem is that you can spread it to other people. Other people are less healthy, and it's still really bad for your health. Anyway, I think that's it for this video. I hope you take these warnings seriously. I hope that this video has helped to illustrate how dangerous this virus is. The dangerous thing about it is how quickly it spreads and how easy it is able to spread from person to person. Because just by sneezing or just by handshakes, you can spread the disease really quickly. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope this was really eye-opening for you, seeing how fast this disease is spreading. And just in case you want to know the function that I used to model this growth for the United States, the function is 68 times e to the power 0.268x. Right here, 68 e to the power of 0.268x. And that's the function that's right here. And it modeled really well, really accurately, up until now at least, how much the virus has been growing in the United States. Now, I'm worried that the growth that's going to happen in the US is going to be even worse than what the model predicts. And that's what appears to be happening with the last couple days. Right here, the point is above the graph. But I'm hoping that US actually steps in and people actually take the warning seriously. They do something to stop the spread. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.